You will never find him. These words are along the lines of what 41-year-old Amy Fry Pizten said when she wrote her suicide letter on May 14, 2011. Referring to her 6-year-old son Timothy Pizten, Amy Fry Pizten has a past of mental issues such as depression and suicidal ideation. During her year-long, long-distance relationship with 35-year-old James Pizten, Amy Fry's first attempt at suicide was in 2003 when she had taken pills and was on the edge of a cliff. James Pizten recalls that Amy Fry has had past divorces and mental issues. However, Amy Fry Pizten and James Pizten were experiencing issues within the relationship due to Amy's frequent trips with friends, her excessive spending, and her continued communication with her ex-husbands. On October 18, 2004, Amy Fry Pizten gave birth to Timothy Pizten. While Amy Fry Pizten was with her husband, James Pizten, she was talking to one of her ex-husbands who she still had feelings for. James stated something along the lines of, "It is either him or me. Pick one. Just know that if you choose him, I will make sure you will not receive custody of Timothy and you won't see him again." This was one of the main reasons for Amy's rocky relationship with her husband, possibly contributing to her abducting her own son. Due to mental health issues and her divorces, Amy would most likely not get her son in her custody. Her mother, Alana Anderson, told a news outlet that her daughter, Amy, would never harm her son and even added an extra M to Timothy's name to make him special. But as the following event will show, this statement may not be entirely true.
On May 11, 2011, James had dropped Timothy off at school. Later that day, around 8:30 a.m., Timothy's mom, Amy, goes to pick Timothy up, giving the school the excuse that there was a family emergency. When this story was later checked by investigators, they found there was no emergency. Here is security footage of Amy picking Timothy up from school. Amy Fry Pizten got her car repaired with Timothy. An employee offered to take them to a zoo. At around 3 p.m., Amy Fry Pizten took Timothy to Great Wolf Lodge Water Park, located in Gurnee, Illinois. There's also security camera footage of Amy checking in and out of the resort. The next day, May 12th, Amy took Timothy to the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells. This was also spotted on security camera footage. On the same day, James called the police to report Amy and Timothy as missing. You may be wondering why James didn't report them as missing on May 11th. You see, Amy had a tendency to go missing for certain periods of time. On May 13th, Amy was seen on security camera footage shopping at Family Dollar, purchasing stationery equipment from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Amy was seen alone shopping at a grocery store. Later that day, Amy called her family, claiming that she and Timothy were fine and that they were safe. However, Amy did not call James. She only called her mother and brother-in-law. During these phone calls, you could hear Timothy saying he was hungry. Finally, on May 14th, Amy was found dead in the Rockfield Inn motel in Illinois. She committed suicide with a knife, and they found slashes on her left forearm and throat. She also took a lethal dose of antihistamines. Amy left behind a suicide note apologizing for the mess and goes on about her son, saying he was safe with people who would love and care for him, but would never be found. A few years later, on April 3rd, 2019, there was a 24-year-old man in Kentucky who claimed to be Timothy Pizten, who ran away from his kidnappers. However, the man who claimed to be Timothy was concluded to be a man named Brian Rini after DNA test was done on April 7, 2019. Timothy Pizten remains missing. The only updates from his father are advocating for people to spread information about his son so he may one day return home.
Kentucky telling officers that his name was Timothy Pizten and he'd just run away from his kidnappers. After a DNA test indicated that he wasn't Timothy, police charged Brian Rini with making a false statement. According to a criminal complaint, Rini told investigators that he wished he had a father like Timothy's because if he went missing, his father would just keep drinking.
Exposure will help get his face back out there, get a description of what he may look like at this time out. He's probably about 145, 150 pounds, between 5'10 and 6'3.
Timothy would be 14 now, missing for 8 years after his mother, Amy Fry Pizten, picked him up from school.
In conclusion, this case remains a cold case. However, due to what little forensic evidence we had found, we concluded that Amy Fry Pizten murdered Timothy Pizten or had handed him off to traffickers. When investigators were examining Amy's car, they found tall Queen Anne's lace and black mustard plants underneath the body of the car. This indicates that she parked near a grassy meadow or field in a nearly treeless spot, which means this could be the place where Timothy's body was dumped, or this is where he was dropped off. Since Amy had mental health issues, her idea of safe could be vastly different, which is why we think she's the culprit for this crime. And later on, she committed suicide due to her mental health issues.
What forensic issues surround this case? One forensic issue was that they did not perform an autopsy on Amy's body after she had died. Another forensic issue was that the blood found in the car, blood analyzers could not identify how long the blood had been in the car for, or if it was truly produced from a nosebleed. What is considered the crime scene? When was it processed? What was collected? What were the results? There are two crime scenes in this case. These are Amy's car, in which her and Timothy had drove in from each motel where Amy ended up killing herself. The car that was found and analyzed for evidence. In the car, young Timothy's blood was found, but from the family's reports, it could have been from all the nosebleeds he suffered from time and time again. The tires had been analyzed as well. They showed that she was near a meadow that had no trees. Further analysis indicated that the species of plants that were growing near the meadow were Queen Anne's black lace and black mustard plants. On November 18th was when the evidence was finally released to the public. Evidence was collected where the suicide note was found, the pill bottle that contained the antihistamines, and the suicide letter, as mentioned before. What forensic resources have not been utilized? Justify your answers.
They did not perform a toxicology test on Amy to see if she was on any prescribed drugs or had past issues with drugs or around the time of the crime.
When they found Amy's phone on the highway, they did not investigate it for phone calls, text messages, or photos.
What additional questions do you think are key players in this case? What needs to be asked? Was Amy diagnosed with any other mental health conditions? Was she on any prescribed medications? Why was no toxicology report done when her body was found?
Who was Amy close to? If her son were alive, to whom would she give him to? Why was the phone not analyzed to see if there was anyone she called or texted?
Was there an investigation done on James Pizten to see if Amy had any reason to flee her husband?
What is your analysis of the matter in which this case has been handled by all parties, including law enforcement, media, the attorneys, and the family of the victims? Law enforcement acted in the best way possible until they came down to actually finding Amy and Timothy. Amy's phone was never analyzed, and if it was never mentioned to the public. Then it came to Amy's body, and that was never given an autopsy either. If it was also never made clear to the public. Regarding the family members, James only put up a missing poster for Timothy. James could have tried putting up a missing poster for Amy as well, which could have changed the outcome in this case potentially, since she was spotted at several areas in different locations. Also, despite Amy having constant disappearance, he still should have reported both of them as missing. He couldn't find Timothy since he couldn't find Timothy after school. Also, when Amy called her mother and brother-in-law, they could have reported that as well. Amy made a strange call in the moment instead of waiting until after she and Timothy had passed on.
The media viewed this case as an impactful and interesting case due to the suspect of Timothy's kidnapping being forensically unidentified. Also, the media was very negative towards Amy due to her being the prime suspect, but it could not be determined because of the lack of forensic evidence.
Lastly, there weren't any attorneys due to the possible suspect being dead to suicide.